Imagine a world where people tried to patent a device that could literally control the weather. Sounds crazy, right? But back in 1859, an inventor named George Merryweather created something called the Tempest Prognosticator, also known as the Leech barometer. Here's the wild part. It used leeches to predict storms. Yes, live leeches. Merryweather believed that when the leeches became agitated, it meant a storm was coming. He designed this contraption with glass bottles, each housing a leech, connected to tiny bells that would ring when the leeches moved. This bizarre invention was actually awarded a medal at the Great Exhibition in London, showcasing how inventive and quirky people got with early weather forecasting. So why did the Tempest Prognosticator fade into obscurity? Well, as accurate as it might have been, relying on leeches wasn't exactly practical or popular, especially as more scientific instruments were developed. Still, it's fascinating to see how people once looked to nature in such a direct way to understand the weather. Next time you check the weather app on your phone, think about leeches ringing tiny bells to warn you of a storm. What other strange inventions from history might be hiding in plain sight, waiting to be rediscovered? The story of the Tempest Prognosticator is just one example of how human curiosity and ingenuity have often led to some truly unusual inventions. In the 19th century, the scientific community was still in the process of developing reliable meteorological instruments. Thermometers, barometers, and anemometers were becoming more common, but the understanding of weather patterns was far from complete. Inventors like Merryweather sought to find innovative ways to predict the weather by observing natural phenomena directly, sometimes turning to animals as early warning systems. Leeches, in particular, were known to be sensitive to changes in atmospheric pressure and humidity. Merryweather's idea was that these creatures would become restless or more active just before a storm, possibly due to shifts in the environment that humans could not sense as easily. By placing them in individual glass bottles connected to small bells, he created a system where their agitation would trigger an audible alarm, alerting observers to impending bad weather. It was a blend of biology and mechanics, an early form of bio-sensing technology. While the Tempest Prognosticator was an innovative concept, it was not without its challenges. For one, maintaining live leeches was not the most convenient or hygienic task. The device required careful handling and upkeep, including feeding and cleaning the leeches, which limited its practicality for everyday use. Additionally, the scientific community gradually moved towards more standardized and quantifiable methods of weather prediction, relying on instruments that could provide consistent data without the unpredictability of living creatures. Despite its eventual obsolescence, Merryweather's invention remains a fascinating chapter in the history of meteorology. It reflects a time when the boundaries between science, nature, and invention were fluid, and when inventors were willing to experiment boldly with unusual ideas. The fact that the Tempest Prognosticator received recognition at the Great Exhibition speaks to the spirit of innovation and curiosity that characterized the era. Looking beyond weather forecasting, history is filled with other strange and intriguing inventions that seem almost fantastical today. For example, in the late 1800s, there was the puckle gun, a flintlock weapon designed with a revolving cylinder to fire multiple rounds rapidly. While it was an early attempt at increasing firing speed, it was ultimately impractical and never widely adopted. Then there's the speaking machine, invented by Thomas Edison, which was one of the earliest devices to record and play back sound, paving the way for modern audio technology. In the realm of everyday gadgets, we can look at Victorian-era inventions such as the automaton, mechanical figures that could perform simple tasks or movements, often used as entertainment. These devices combined artistry with engineering, showcasing the creativity of the time. Or consider the pneumatic mail systems used in some cities, where capsules containing letters were propelled through underground tubes by air pressure, a precursor to modern concepts of rapid delivery. Even in the 20th century, inventors continued to push the limits of imagination and technology. The jetpack concept, for instance, captured the public's imagination with visions of personal flight. While practical jetpacks are still rare and limited, this idea has inspired countless innovations in propulsion and mobility. Similarly, the development of the hovercraft introduced a new way of traveling over land and water by riding on a cushion of air. What makes these inventions compelling is not just their novelty, but what they reveal about human creativity and the desire to solve problems or explore new possibilities. Many of these ideas were ahead of their time, limited by the materials and knowledge available then. Some failed because they were impractical or too expensive, while others laid the groundwork for future advancements. Returning to the Tempest Prognosticator, it's interesting to consider how using animals to sense environmental changes has persisted in various forms. Even today, scientists observe animal behavior as part of ecological studies and sometimes as indicators of natural disasters. For example, unusual animal movements have been noted before earthquakes, and certain species migrations can reflect climate changes. While we no longer rely on leeches to ring bells, the underlying principle of using nature to inform human understanding remains relevant. This blend of biology and technology can be seen in contemporary research as well. Innovations such as bio-hybrid robots, machines that incorporate living cells or tissues, are emerging fields that echo the spirit of inventions like Merryweather's. These new technologies aim to harness the unique capabilities of living organisms to create adaptive, sensitive systems. So the next time you use your smartphone to check the weather forecast or you see a radar map showing storm movements, remember that these modern conveniences stand on the shoulders of many curious minds who experimented with all kinds of ideas, no matter how strange they might seem. The history of invention is full of surprises, reminding us that progress often involves trial, error, and a willingness to think outside the box. Who knows? Maybe somewhere in a dusty attic or a forgotten museum, there are other peculiar inventions waiting to be rediscovered, devices that once captured the imagination of their creators and audiences, now silent but ready to tell their stories once again. Exploring these inventions offers a unique window into how people in different times and places tried to understand and shape the world around them. In the end, the Tempest Prognosticator is more than just an oddity. It is a symbol of human curiosity and the enduring quest to predict and perhaps even control nature's unpredictable forces. From leeches to lasers, from bells to satellites, our methods may have evolved, but our fascination with the weather and the desire to know what tomorrow will bring remains as strong as ever.